Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to our business mathematics class, and we are now on our week 5. Okay, so this time we're going to continue our discussion on fractions. Okay, and we will learn about the different operations on fractions. So what are the things that we're going to learn about these operations and fractions? So we have to learn on how to add or subtract fractions, simplify fractions, multiply fractions, and dividing fractions. Okay, but before we get started, let us define first some terminologies involving operations on fractions. So we have here product. So when we say product, this is the result of multiplication. Okay, so when we say product, so halimbawa, we have here 6 times 3 is equal to 18. 18 is the product, alright? The result or the answer of multiplication. And also have the factor, wherein this is something that is being multiplied. Okay, what is factor? So, 6 times 3, dito sa example natin, we said a while ago that this is the product. So, 6 and 3 are the factors of 18. Okay, so we have 6 and 3, which is the factors. So, dalawa sila, so factors. Factors of the product, which is 18. And we also have numerator, when we said that this is the top part of a fraction. Okay, so halimbawa, we have 1/3. This is the numerator. Okay, the top part. And the denominator is the bottom part. So 1/3, this is the denominator. Okay, so these are just some simple terms that we will encounter during our discussion. Okay, so we have adding fractions. When you need to add or subtract fractions, you will need to first make sure that the fractions have the same denominator. Okay, so bago tayo mag-add or subtract ng fraction, dapat siguraduhin muna natin na mayroon silang parehong denominator. Okay? Kasi hindi natin pwedeng i-add yung numerator and denominator together. So, the denominator will tells you on how many pieces the whole pizza has been broken into, and the numerator tells you how many of those pieces you are using. So, the parts of a whole concept can be modeled with pizzas and pizza slices. Halimbawa, ito yung pizza natin. So, imagine a pizza that is cut into 4 pieces. So, ito yung pizza natin. So, imagine na nakat na siya ng 4. Okay? And then, someone takes 1 piece. So, now, we have 1/4 of the pizza is gone and 3/4 remains. Okay, so notes that both of these fractions have a denominator of 4. Okay, so pareho sila ng denominator. This refers to the number of slices the whole pizza has been cut into. So ito yung nagsasabi kung ilang piraso yung pizza na nakat. Okay? So what if you have another pizza that had been cut into 8 equal parts and 3 of these parts were gone? So, halimbawa, meron ulit tayong pizza, tapos na-cut siya into 8. Di ba? Halimbawa, pare-pareho yan. 8 ba yan? Yes. And then, 3 of those were gone. Tatlo na wala. Halimbawa, kinain din yung tatlong slices ng pizza. So, this will leave you into 5, 8. Tama? Now, how can you describe the total amount of pizza that is left with one number rather than two different fractions? So, paano natin yun i-describe? So, dito tayo. Sulat natin yung question. So, how can you describe the total amount, tumaas na yung of pizza that is left with one number rather than two different fractions. Ayan. So, paano daw natin di-describe yung total amount of pizza that is left with one number rather than two different fractions? So, in here, you need you need a common denominator. Okay? So, we need a common denominator. And technically, we call this as the LCM. Okay? So, ano ulit yung LCM? That is the least common multiple. Okay? Least common multiple. Or the LCM. So, for us to describe the total amount of pizza that is left with one number rather than two different fractions, you need a common denominator, which is the LCM, or the least common multiple. So remember that if a number is a multiple of another, you can divide them and have no remainder. Okay? So, one way to find the least common multiple of two or more numbers is to first multiply each by, ano yung multiply natin? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And so on. So, halimbawa, for example, we have to find the LCM of 2 and 5. Okay? So, first, list all the multiples of 2 and the multiples of 5. So, what are the multiples of 2? Ano ba yung mga multiples ni 2? Okay, so 1, 2, ano pa? 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. Okay? And si 5 naman, we have 1, 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. So in here, the smallest multiple they have in common will be the common denominator. Okay? So I repeat. So after listing the multiples of a given number, the smallest multiple that they have in common will be the common denominator to use to rewrite each fraction into equivalent fractions. Okay, so paano yan? Let's have an example. Halimbawa ito. So, one pizza that is cut into 4 slices has one missing, and another pizza of the same size has been cut into 8 pieces, of which 3 have been removed. Describe the total amount of pizza left in the two pizzas using common terms. Okay, so first is we have to rewrite the fraction. So ang sabi dito, yung isang pizza na nahahati sa 4, nawala yung isa. So yung fraction natin ay 3/4 and the other one is 5/8. Tama? So the other pizza with the same size has been cut into 8 pieces. And 3 have been removed. So, 5/8 yon. So, we have to rewrite the fractions 3/4 and 5/8 as fractions with a least common denominator. So, anong gagawin natin? Find the LCM of the denominators. So, ano yung mga denominators natin? So, we have 4 and 8. Okay, so what are the multiples of 4? We have 4, 8, 12, ano pa? 16, 24. Okay. And then we have 8. So 8, 16, 24, okay, 32, and so on. Alright? So, what is the least common multiple? So, alin dito yung pareho sila that they have in common na which is the smallest multiple that they have. So, ayan. So, we have 8, tapos 16, and then 24. So, yung pinakamababa doon, the smallest, is 8. Okay? So, yung LCM ng 4 and 8 ay 8. Alright? Ayan. So, that is the smallest multiple that they have in common. So, what are we going to do now? We have to rewrite 3/4. So, we have to rewrite 3/4 a denominator of with a denominator of 8. So, anong gagawin natin? We have to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 2 para maging 8 si denominator. Okay? So, both numerator and denominator by 2. Para gawin nating 8 si denominator. So, this is now 6, 8. Alright? How about the other fraction? Do we need to multiply this one? So, we don't need to rewrite, okay? We don't need to rewrite 5/8 since it already has the common denominator, which is 8. Okay, so both 6/8 and 5/8 have the same denominator. Ayan. Ayan. So 6/8 and 5/8 have the same denominator, and you can now describe how much pizza is left with common terms. So what are we going to do? Add the number and put them over the common denominator. Okay, so we have so pwedeng dito na lang i-add na lang natin. Okay, so pag i-add natin yan, 6/8 plus 5/8, 6/8 of the pizza, first pizza, and 5/8 of the second pizza left. So that is, ilan na yan? 11/8. So since we are going to simplify, so 11/8 of an identically sized pizza, or this is 1 and 3/8 pizza still on the table. Okay, so paano natin nakuha yung 1 and 3/8? So we discussed this one already on our past lesson. So kapag improper fraction, convert it to mixed number. So this is 1. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract, that is 3. So the quotient will be our whole number. The remainder will be the numerator. And the divisor is our denominator. Okay? And so to add fractions with unlike denominators, what are we going to do first? Rewrite them with like denominators. Okay? Rewrite them with like denominators. Then add or subtract the numerators over the common denominators. Alright. So adding fractions with unlike denominators. First one is find the common denominator. 2. Rewrite each fraction as an equivalent fraction using the common denominator. And so now that you have the fractions or the fractions that have a common denominator, you can add the numerators and simplify by canceling out all common factors in the numerator and denominator. Okay, so simplifying fractions. How are we going to simplify fractions again? So it is a common convention in mathematics to present fractions in lowest terms. Okay, so we call this practice like simplifying. Okay, simplifying or reducing the fraction. And it can be accomplished by canceling or dividing the common factors in a fraction's numerator and denominator. So we can do this because a fraction represents division. So if you remember that, a fraction represents division. So para lang ma-simplify si fraction. And for any number A over A is equal to 1. Yan. So, for example, so halimbawa, to simplify the fraction 6/9, you can rewrite 6 and 9 using the smallest factors possible. Okay? So, ano yung mga smallest factors nila? So, pwede natin siyang, so kunin natin yung factors ni 6 and 9. So, 2 and 3, 9 is 3 and 3. So, since there is a 3 in both the numerator and denominator, the fractions can be considered division. Okay? And we can divide the 3 in the top and by the 3 in the bottom to reduce to 1. Ayan. So, cancel na natin yung 3 and 3. So, this is now equal to 2. Magiging 1 na siya. And then 3. So, this is now equal to 2/3. Okay? So, the simplest form of 6/9 is 2/3. Alright? Let's have another example para mas maintindihan. Yan. Add 2/3 and 1/5 and then simplify the answer. Since the denominators are not alike, so anong gagawin ulit natin? We have to find a common denominator. Common denominator by multiplying the denominators. So, multiply natin yung denominators natin. So, this is now equal to 15. 3 times 5 is 15. And then, rewrite each fraction with a denominator of 15. Okay? So, rewrite natin yung given fraction with a denominator of 15. So, gawin natin 15 si denominator. Since our denominator here is 3, so, paano natin siya gagawing 15? We have to multiply both the numerator and denominator by 5 just to make our denominator as 15. So, 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. And the other one, so or 1/5, the denominator is 5. To make it 15, multiply both numerator and denominator by 15. And this is now equal to 3/15. So next is add the fractions by adding the numerators and keeping the denominator the same. Alright? So 10/15 plus 3/15, this is equal to 13/15. Alright? So make sure the fraction cannot be simplified. Alright? So this is now in simplest form, kaya yung answer natin ay 13/50. Alright? So, you can find a common denominator by finding the common multiples of the denominators. The least common multiples is the easiest way to use. Ayan. Like this. So, we have here 3, 7 plus 2, 21. So, simplify the answer. And since the denominators are not alike, so gawin natin, find the least common denominator by finding the LCM. Ayan. So we have to find the LCM of 7 and 21. Okay? So, gusto natin yung multiples ng 7. 7, 14, 21. Ito naman ay 21. Alright. So, wala nang susunod pa dyan aside from 21. So, the LCM of 7 and 21 is 21. So, what's next? Rewrite each fraction with a denominator of 21. So, since yung isa nating fraction ay 21 na yung denominator, so there's no need for us to rewrite it just to make the fraction or the denominator 21. Kasi 21 na yung denominator niya. So, yung unang denominator lang. So, 3, 7. So, gagawin natin 21 si denominator. So, multiply both numerator and denominator by 3. Okay? To make the denominator 21. So, this is now equal to 9 over 21. And then next, add the fractions by adding the denominators and keeping the numerators and keeping the denominator the same. So, 9, 21 plus 2 over 21. And this is equal to 11, 21. Okay? So, this cannot be simplified. So, this is now the answer. Alright? And you can also add more, okay, more than 2 fractions as long as you find first a common denominator. Okay? Ayan. Pwede rin tayong mag-add ng more than 2 fractions as long as you find first a common denominator for all of them. Yan. So example is a sum of 3 fractions. 3/4 plus 1/6 plus 5/8. Ayan. So simplify the answer and write as a mixed number if possible. Okay? So ano yung nabanggit ko kanina? Find first a common denominator. Since our denominators are not alike, we have to find the least common denominator. That is by finding the LCM of our denominator. So, 4, 6, and 8, yung mga denominators natin. But this time, hindi na tayo sa listing. So, there is another way. There is another way for us to find. Okay? So, pwede rin natin ilista yung prime factors nila. Okay? So, we can list the prime factors. So, the prime factors of 4 is 2 and 2. And then next is 3 times 2. The other one is 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? So, paano natin kukunin yung LCM? So, this is equal to ito. So, ito yung common nila plus yung naibang 3. So, 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 which is equal to 24. So, 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8 times 3 is 24. So, the LCM of 4, 6, and 8 is 24. And then, we have to rewrite. So, rewrite natin yung fractions natin with a denominator of 24. So, 3, 4, 1, 6, and 5, 8. So, gawin natin 24 lahat yung denominator. So, sa first fraction, yung denominator niya ay 4. So, paano niya gagawing 24? Multiply both numerator and denominator by 6 to make it 24 yung denominator. So, this is, equal 18 to 24. 18, 24. And then next, by 4, okay? To make this denominator into 24. This is equal to 4 over 24. Next, so the denominator is 8. Multiply both numerator and denominator by 3. And this is now equal to 15 over 24. And then next is, add now the fractions. Okay? 1824 plus 424 plus 1524. Okay? So add the numerators and then keep the denominator the same. Alright? And this is equal to 24. So ilan na? 18 plus 4 plus 15 is equal to 37. So yung sagot natin ay improper. So yung instruction, write as a mixed number. Okay, so 37 over 24 is equal now to 1 and 13 over 24. Okay, so divide mo lang siya. 37 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, 1 times 24 is 24. 37 minus 24 is 13. Okay, so this is our final answer. So that is adding fractions. Now we go to subtracting fractions. Subtracting fractions follows the same technique as adding them. Alright? First, determine whether or not the denominators are alike. If not, rewrite each fraction as an equivalent fraction, all having the same denominator. Ayan. Sulat ko na. Halimbawa, we have 1/5 minus 1/6. So the fractions have unlike denominators. So you need to find a common denominator. Ayan. So recall that a common denominator can be found by multiplying the two denominators together. Ayan. So we have to find the common denominator. Okay? Kasi ito yung pag-subtract, pareho lang din dun sa pag-add. All we have to do is to make our fractions as common. Okay, yung pareho ang denominator. So we have to multiply the denominators together. So this is equal to 30. 5 times 6 is equal to 30. And then, rewrite each fraction as an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 30. So, rewrite natin si 1/5. Multiply both numerator and denominator by 6 to make the denominator 30. And this is equal to 6 over 30. And the other one is 1/6. Multiply both numerator and denominator by 5 to make the denominator 30 para maging common. Okay? So, subtract the numerators. Ayan. So, 6. Common. So, we have common fractions. 6 over 30 and 5 over 30. And then, subtract the numerator by keeping the, and keep the denominator. So, this is now equal to 1 over 30. Okay? So, we have another example. So, this example is shows on how to use multiples to find the least common multiple. Okay? So, this is the the least common denominator. Okay? So, halimbawa, 5, 6 minus 1/4. Find the least common multiple of the denominators. So, pag common multiples of the denominators, this is the least common denominator. Okay? Or the LCD. Ayan. So, find the least common multiple of our denominators, or this is what we call the LCD. So, ano yung denominators natin? We have 6 and 4. So, what are the factors? We have 6, 12, 18, 24, and so on. And para sa 4, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and so on. Oh. Okay, so dito, yun yung pinaka-least. So, yung pinaka-least that they have in common is 12. So, 12 is the least common multiple of 6 and 4. Kaya yan yung LCD natin. Okay? 12. And then next, rewrite each fraction with a denominator of 12. So, rewrite natin yung fraction natin with denominator of 12 para maging common denominator. So, multiply this fraction, both numerator and denominator by 2 to make the denominator 12. and this is 10. And the other one is 1/4. So to make it 12, multiply both numerator and denominator by 3. So this is now equal to 3/12. And then subtract now the fraction. So 10/12 minus 3/12, and this is now equal to 7/12. So this is now in simplest form. So this is now the answer. Alright, so that is on how to subtract fractions. Pareho lang sila ni addition. Okay, next, multiplying fractions. So just as you add, subtract, multiply, and divide when working with whole numbers, you also use these operations when working with fractions. And there are many times when it is necessary to multiply fractions. Ayan. Oh, fraction of fraction. Okay? So we are finding a fraction of a fraction. And when you multiply a fraction by a fraction, you are finding a fraction of a fraction. Okay? Ano yun? Ayan. So, pwede tayong gumamit ng model para mas maintindihan natin yung multiplication of fraction. So, when you multiply a fraction by a fraction, ayan, we are finding a fraction of a fraction. So, suppose we have 3/4 of a candy, ayan, or candy bar. Halimbawa, candy bar yan. And we have 3/4. And you want to find 1/2, okay? So, yung candy bar mo, meron kang 3/4. And then, you have to find 1/2 of 3/4. Okay, so ito na yung 3/4 ng candy bar mo. And you want to okay, so 1/2, find the 1/2 of the 3/4. Ayan. Okay, so by dividing each fourth in half, you can divide the candy bar into eighths. Okay, ayan. So yung from 3/4, we divide the candy bar into eighths. Kaya ito na yung itsura ni candy bar. And then, you choose half of those just to get 3/8. So in both of this one, to find the answer, you can multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. Okay, just to find the 1/2 of 3/4. So, paano yan? Multiplying two fractions. So, ganito yan. So, this is equal to the product of numerators and the product of denominators. So, multiply mo lang si numerator together and the denominator together. Parang ito. Okay, and multiplying more than two fractions, just multiply the numerators together and denominators together. Paano? Example. Multiply 2/3 and 3/4. So, in here, multiplying the numerators and multiply the denominator. So, madali lang siya. All we have to do is to multiply numerator together. So, 2 times 4, 3 times 5. And this is equal now to 8/15. So, you can simplify the answer if possible. But since this fraction is already in lowest terms, so this is now the product or the answer. So, to review, if a fraction has common factors in the numerator and denominator, we can reduce the fraction to its simplest form by removing the common factors. Okay? So, if a fraction has common factors in the numerator and denominator, we can reduce the fraction to its simplest form. Ayan. So, always reduce it to a simplest form. That is by removing the common factors if possible. Alright? So, ayan. For example, given given the 815, the factors of 8 are, ano yung mga factors ni 8? We have 1, 2, 4, 8. Okay? And the factors of 15 are, ayan. So yung factors ni 8 ay 1, 2, 4, 8. And the factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. So, 8, 15 is already simplified, okay? Because there are no common factors. There are no common factors except 1, okay? So, walang common factors. Si 8 over 15, si 8 at 15, kaya this is in-simplified. So, this is already simplified. Another one, given the fraction 10, 15. So, what are the factors of 10? We have 1, 2, 5, and 10. And for 15, 1, 3, 5, and 15. Okay? So, 10 over 15 is not simplified. Ito, simplified na siya. Okay? Kasi they have no common factors. Unlike 10 over 15, it is not simplified. Bakit? Bakit hindi pa siya simplified? Because they have common factor, which is 5. So, 5 yung common factor nila. The common factor of 10 and 15 is 5. So, you can simplify first before you multiply fractions. Okay po, para mas madali. Kesa yung multiply mo muna, lumaki na yung sagot bago mo pa siya i-simplify. So, pwede mo na siyang i-simplify before you multiply two fractions. This is just to make your work easier. Okay? Mas madali kasi yung simplify mo muna bago multiply. So, this allows you to work with smaller numbers when you multiply. Okay? So, kagaya nito, yung 10, since 10, 15 is not simplified, so, pwede naman natin kunin yung factors nito, which is 2 times 5, and ito is 3 times 5. Okay? So, cancel out, cancel out. So, the simplest form is 2/3. Tama? Okay. So, ganon. Mas madali. Mas madali yung pag-simplify ng fractions before you multiply them. So, you will deal with smaller numbers to make it easier. Let's have an example. Multiply 2/3, 1/4, and 3/5. And then simplify the answer. So, what makes this example different? Ano yung example nito? Yung pagkakaiba niya. Okay. So, first, we have to multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Since we are dealing with smaller number, rewrite muna natin. 2/3 times 1/4 times 3/5. So, multiply numerators and multiply the denominator. So, 2 times 1 times 3. And then this one is 3 times, so ito, paghiwalayin natin, what are the factors of 4? 2 and 2. Tama? And then, yung 5. Okay? And then, pwede ka nang mag-cancel out ng nasa numerator and denominator. So, 2 and 2, 3 and 3. So, ano yung natira sa taas? 1 sa baba, 2 and 5. Okay? And this is now equal to 110. So, madali lang. So, the product is 110. This is now in simplest form. Okay, so that is multiplying fractions. And now we go to dividing of fractions. So, there are times when you need to use division to solve a problem. For example, if painting one coat of paint on the walls of a room requires 3 quarts of paint and you have a bucket that contains 6 quarts of paint, how many coats of paint can you paint on the walls? Okay? You divide 6 by 3 for an answer of 2 coats. Okay? So, yan. You divide 6 by 3 for an answer of 2 coats. And there will also be times when you need to divide by a fraction. Suppose, uh, painting a closet with one only required 1/2 quart of paint, how many coats could be painted with the 6 quarts of paint? Diba? So, how many coats could be painted with 6 quarts of paint? So, to find the answer, you need to, ang gagawin? So, you need to divide 2 by the fraction. Okay, so, ayan, you need to divide 2 by the fraction, which is 1/2. Ayan, so before we begin dividing fractions, let's cover some important terminology. So, we have the reciprocal. So, when we say reciprocal, two fractions are reciprocals if their product is 1. Okay, so two fractions are reciprocal if their product is 1. And we have also the quotient, which is the result of division. Or ito yung sagot pag nagde-divide tayo. Okay? So, dividing fractions requires using the reciprocal of a number or fraction. So, if you multiply two numbers together and get 1 as a result, then the two numbers are reciprocal. Okay? Ayan. So, halimbawa, meron tayong mga ordinal numbers. For example, yung ordinal number ay 3/4. So, what is the reciprocal of 3/4? This is 4/3. And what is the product? So, pag minultiply natin siya, 12/12, or this is equal to 1. Ayan. So, if you multiply two numbers together and get 1 as a result, then these numbers are reciprocals. So, yung product ay 1, kaya ito ay reciprocals. Meron din isa. 1/2. So, what is the reciprocal of 1/2? 2, 1 yan. So, multiply ulit natin siya. 1/2 times 2/1, which is 2/2 or 1. So, these numbers are reciprocal. So, pwede rin yung whole number na 3. So, ano ba yung denominator ni whole number 3? 1. So, omitted lang siya. So, the reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. So, when we multiply this number, we will get the product of 1. So these numbers are reciprocal. What else if we are given a mixed number? So ano ulit ang gagawin natin sa mixed number? Convert natin siya into improper fraction. So this is now equal to 7/3. So anong ginawa natin? We multiply the denominator by the whole number and then we add the product to the numerator, kaya 7. Alright? And the reciprocal is 3, 7. So when we multiply these numbers, we will get the product of 1. So if we get 1 as a result, then these two numbers are said to be reciprocals. So sometimes we call reciprocal as flip. Okay? Ayan. Kaya yung flip ni 3/4 ay 4/3. Okay? So, flip. So, when we flip 2/5 to get the reciprocal of 5/2. Ayan. Division by 0. What does it mean to divide a quantity by 0? So, you know what it means to divide by 2 or divide by 10? So, what does it mean to divide a quantity by 0? So, is this even possible? Pwede ba yun? Can you divide 0 by a number? Let us consider this number, 0/8. we can read this as 0 divided by 8. Since multiplication is the inverse of division, so we could rewrite this as a multiplication problem. Okay, so pwede natin siyang i-rewrite as a multiplication problem. O, ganyan. Times 8 is equal to 0. And we can infer that the unknown must be 0, since that is the only number that will give a result of 0 when it is multiplied by 8. Now, let us consider the reciprocal of 0 over 8, which is 8 over 0. Ayan. So, if we rewrite times as a multiplication problem, so we will have this one. Okay, so this doesn't make any sense. There are no numbers that you can multiply by 0 to get a result of 8. So the reciprocal of 8 over 0 is, anong tawag natin doon? Undefined. And in fact, all division by 0 is undefined. Okay, so all division by 0 is undefined. So, yung note natin dyan, division by 0 is undefined and so is the reciprocal of any fraction that has a 0 in the numerator. So, for any real number a over 0 is undefined. And additionally, the reciprocal of a over 0 will always be undefined. Alright? So, kapag wala siyang sense, it is said to be undefined. Now, we have to divide a fraction by a whole number. So, when you divide by a whole number, you are multiplying by a reciprocal. Okay? So, in the painting example natin kanina, where you need 3 quarts, ayan. So, yung example natin ng painting where we need 3 quarts, okay? 3 quarts of paint for a coat and have 6 quarts. Ayan, sulat natin, and have 6 quarts of paint pa rin yan, you can find the total number of coats that can be painted by dividing 6 by 3. Okay? So, divide natin yung 6 by 3. Kaya ang makukuha natin dyan ay 2. And you can also multiply 6 by the reciprocal of 3. Ayan. So, 6, we can multiply this one by the reciprocal of 3. So, the multiplication problem becomes ganyan. 6 over 1 times, wait, ayusin natin. Diba? So, pwede nating i-multiply si 6 doon sa reciprocal ni 3, which is 1/3. So, ganito na yung multiplication problem natin. And this is equal to 6 over 3, or in simplest form is 2. Okay? Ayan. So, dividing is multiplying by the reciprocal. So, for all division, you can turn the operation into multiplication by using the reciprocal. Dividing is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay? Ayan. Dividing fractions, example, divide 2/3 by 4. Okay. So, when your answer in lowest terms, dividing 4 by or 4 over 1 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of 4, which is 1/4. Okay? So, 2/3 divided by 4 is equal to 2/3 times the reciprocal of 4, which is 1/4. Multiply numerators and multiply denominators. Okay? So, this is now equal to 2 over 12. And then, simplify to lowest terms by dividing numerator and denominator by the common factor, which is 4. So the common factor of 4. So this is equal to 1/6. So the quotient now is 1/6. Okay. Let's have another example. 9 divided by 1/2. So write your answer in lowest terms. So paano yan? Dividing 1/2 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal of 1/2, which is 2 over 1. Okay? So this is equal to 9 divided by 1/2, and this is equal now to 9 over 1 times the reciprocal of 1/2. Okay? Which is 2 over 1. Ayan. So, bakit naging multiplication yan? Naintindihan nyo ba yung instruction kanina? So, when we are dividing, change the sign into multiplication and then get the reciprocal of the divisor. Okay? So, this is now equal to 18 over 1 or 18. Okay? So, this answer is already simplified to lowest term. So, 9 divided by 1/2 is equal to 18. Alright? Divide a fraction by a fraction. So, sometimes you need to solve a problem that requires dividing by a fraction. Suppose you have a pizza. Ayan. Suppose you have a pizza that is already cut into 44 slices. No, that is 4. 4 lang yan, ha? Okay. Already cut into 4 slices. How many 1/2 or how many half slices are there? Okay? Ilan daw? Halimbawa, this is the number of slices ng pizza natin na 4. And we have the number of half slices, which is equal to 8. So, there are 8 slices. Ayan. There are 8 slices. So, you can see that dividing 4 by 1/2, ayan, gives the same result as multiplying 4 by 2. Okay, so what would happen if you needed to divide each slice into thirds? Number of 1/3 slices, which is equal to 12. So you would have 12 slices, which is the same as multiplying 4 by 3. Ayan. Okay, so dividing with fractions, first is find the reciprocal of the number that follows the division symbol and multiply the first number, the one before the division symbol, by the reciprocal of the second number, the one after the division symbol. Okay? So, any easy way to remember how to divide fractions is the phrase keep, change, flip. Okay? Ano yung pinaka-easy? Ayan. Keep, change, and flip. Okay? Yan yung ano. So, this means to keep the first number. To keep the first number. Halimbawa, 9 divided by 1/2 kanina. So, keep the first number. And then, yung change dyan, change the division sign into multiplication sign. And then next, yung flip, ito, flip this one into the reciprocal. So, this is equal to 2 over 1. Ganon. So, keep, change, and flip. So, change the division sign to multiplication. And then flip, which use the reciprocal of the second number. So, this is the second number. Use the reciprocal. Kaya flip 2 over 1. Example, divide 2/3 by 1/6. So, anong gagawin natin? Multiply by the reciprocal. Ayan. So, multiply by the reciprocal. So, ano yung keep natin dyan? Keep, change, and flip. Keep 2/3. Change. Change division to multiplication. Or ganon. Yung times, yung x. And then, flip 1/6. Okay? 1/6 to 6/1. And so, asan na yun? So, we keep 2/3 and then we change to multiplication and we flip. Flip the second number. So, we use the reciprocal and multiply numerators and multiply denominators together. So, this is now equal to 2 times 6 times over 3 times 1. So, this is equal to 12 over 3. So, simplify natin yan. That is equal to 4. So, the answer now is 4. We have another example. 3/5 divided by 2/3. So, again, multiply by the reciprocal. So, keep natin si 3/5. Change division sign to multiplication sign. And then, flip the second number. Use reciprocal. So, that is 3/2. Alright, then multiply numerators and multiply denominators. So, this is equal to 9/10. So, do we need to simplify this one? No, because this is already simplified. Alright? So, when solving a division problem by multiplying by the reciprocal, remember to write all whole numbers and mixed numbers as improper fractions. Okay? The final answer should be simplified and written as a mixed number. So, ganun lang yun. Ayan. Kalagay pala dyan. Alright? The final answer should be simplified and written as a mixed number. Kapag improper yung nakuha nating sagot. So, all we have to do is to simplify the answer. And we have some problems involving fractions. Okay? Here. We have a problem here. Mason went to collect the eggs and that his hens laid. And he collected 7 dozens, as usual, from the white hens, but he only collected 5/6 of a dozen from the brown hens. How many dozens of eggs did Mason collect? So in this problem involved the addition of a whole number and a fraction. Tama? So in this problem, ano yung simplest way to show on how many dozens there are? Okay, so the simplest way to show on how many dozens there are is by using a mixed number. Since the result is practically represented by our data, so we have here 7 dozens plus 5/6 of a dozen. This is now equal to 7 and 5/6 dozens. Okay? Naintindihan? Another one. I just filled up the gas at the gas station and now my car's fuel gauge reads 8/10 full. I didn't fill the gas tank. If the fuel gauge was at 4/10 when I got to the gas station, what fraction of the tank did I fill at the gas station? So in this example, we have to subtract two fractions with the same denominator. Okay, so ano ba yung fractions that has the same denominator? So we have 8, 10, and 4/10. So we have to subtract. So to calculate how full the gas tank is, we have to subtract both fractions. Okay, since we are presented with fractions, the best way to give the solution is in the form of fraction. since we're dealing with two fractions with the same denominator, we just have to subtract the the numerators of both fractions to get the result. Okay, so since common fractions na siya, so same denominator and subtract the numerator. So this is 410. Okay, so 410. Or in simplest form, this is equal to 2/5. Another one. I have 5 and 8 12 episodes of my favorite series downloaded onto my computer. I downloaded some yesterday and 7/12 of the episodes this morning. The download speed was really slow. What fraction of the episodes did I download yesterday? Alright, so this problem requires us again to subtract a mixed number and a fraction. So how are we going to solve this problem? We need to subtract the number of episodes that were downloaded this morning from the number of episodes that are now downloaded in total. So how are we going to do this? We need to change the mixed number into improper fraction. So ano yung mixed number natin? Yung 5 and 8 12. Okay? So this is equal to 68/12. Yan. Paano natin nakuha yon? So we just convert it to improper fraction. 12, and 12 times 5, 60, plus yung numerator na 8, so 68. Okay, 68/12. And now, we just have to subtract the number of episodes that were downloaded yesterday, which is 7/12. Okay? And this is now equal to 61/12. So, yung sagot natin ay improper. We have to simplify this one into mixed number. So, yung sagot ay magiging 5 and 1/12. Okay? So, paano natin ulit nakuha yung 5 and 1/12? So, we just have to divide 61 by 12. Okay? 61 by 12, which is equal to 5. And this is 60. 61 minus 60 is 1. So, we have a quotient of 5. So, yan ang magiging whole number with a remainder of 1. So, yung remainder may naging numerator and the divisor is our denominator. So, this is the final answer. Alright? So, that is our lesson for week 5 in fractions, involving fractions with the use of the operations, the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay? Ayan. So, for your activity, all you have to do is to solve the following problems. Read, analyze, and understand before you answer. Okay? So, intindihin mabuti para malaman kung anong operation ang i-apply sa problem. Right? So, all you have to do is to solve each of the following, show your solutions, and circle the final answer. Simplify if needed. Okay? So, simplify if needed. So, this is your activity for week 5. So, I hope you understand our discussion for fractions involving the different operations. So, see you again next time. And please submit now your activities. So, I'll be expecting your activities to be submitted anytime this week. Alright, so thank you and have a nice day.